Okay. All right. So now we get to the last 2 poems. So um, split the sack and no expectations. So let's go to page 44. And this is one of my favorite sections. So I'm going to read it. And again, we're going to be working together. So why does the soul not fly when it hears the call? Why does a fish gasping on land but near the water not move back into the sea? And then just a little bit further, we are out of our cages with our wings spread, but we do not lift off. So he's comparing us to the fish and the bird who are doing something very silly. The fish is on the land. He's gasping for air. He should be in the water, but he's somehow not jumping back, right? Like he's afraid. The bird is ready, has wings, but is afraid to fly, right? And both seem very silly. But what Rumi is saying, a lot of us look just like this fish and just like this bird. What does he mean? Ziegel, are
Okay,
you?
so I took it. I have a lot of like I looked back on the Song of Songs and Symposium a lot, and so when I read this, I thought of Plato and the allegory of the cave. Um, and I took it as like people who have the ability to do something and they're so close to doing it, like the people who could have just turned around and looked at what life really was on the outside, but they decided not to do it, and they were like maybe too afraid to do it. But that's what I took it as.
Okay, nice connection with Plato. That's that you're right. There are connections with Plato. Very good. So why? Why is the bird afraid? Why do they look so why are we like that? And is our fear justified? Let's ask it like this. Should the fish be afraid of the water? And should the bird be afraid of the air? Let's see, there are a couple hands. I still see just Ziegel. Go ahead, Ziegel. It's you and I.
Yeah, sorry. Um, I think they shouldn't be afraid of it because that's like their home. Like fish belong in the water and the birds belong in the air. Like they're supposed to fly. Those are their natural habitats.
Very good. I'm going to elaborate on that in a second. Aguirre, I saw you just now trying to.
Uh, Sometimes we are afraid of the unknown. Something like when we don't know about something, we are a little bit afraid of it.
Am I there? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yes. But does the fish not know about the water and does the bird not know about the air?
I mean, yeah, they know about that, but they don't really like know very deeply about that.
Okay, very good, very good.
They just see it, but they see it superficially, but they
Okay,
don't see it.
excellent. Avila, would you like to add?
Yeah, so as human beings, we have a lot of emotions and we sometimes act off of them and sometimes our judgment is clouded because of it. So because of that, sometimes the emotional fear can stop us from taking chances because we're too scared of what the outcome is when really you just got to take it to see what the actual outcome is.
Yes, and should you be scared based on this text?
Maybe.
No.
No. I I feel like it talks a little bit about stepping outside of your comfort zone. Like some people are very private about their emotions and they don't express it. Like, have you ever maybe had a friend who you can tell they're a little bit stressed out, but they don't tell you what's wrong, and a part of you is like, I wish you can tell me, but a part of you is like, I can't squeeze it out of you. You know, you just have to tell me. So I feel like what's really important more than anything is honesty. And some people might feel a little bit in the relationship underappreciated or like they're not that important, and that's not always because of the person you're relationship with. Maybe it's just because you have there's something wrong or you didn't have very healthy relationships growing up with other people outside of your partner. So I feel like what's most important, it's you shouldn't fear stepping a little bit outside of your comfort zone and being completely honest with your partner.
Good, good. We'll talk about this comfort zone. Morissette.
I actually was thinking about like when he says fear, I feel like it's for most people. Like we all afraid of life somehow.
Yes,
Because we living, but at the same moment we just afraid of living to the fullest. Like we always cautious about what we're doing, what we say, the repercussion, and how can we make it better. But at the end we still forget that we have to make mistakes to learn, So technically it's the same when he says, why would, like when we're thinking, why would a fish be afraid of the water? Water is where the fish lives. And it's the same for us. Life, it's for us to live. But then we always trying to make it more complicated than it is because we afraid of taking chances at doing anything. We always overthinking stuff.
Good, you got it, right? What the text is saying is that we are so afraid to love, but love is our natural habitat, right? It's as silly to be afraid to love, the text is saying, than for the bird to be afraid to fly and the fish to be afraid to swim. In other words, what he's saying is that if you don't love, that's what's dangerous, because you will be stuck on the land and you will die, or you will be like the bird with no true freedom, right? So he's telling us, right, yes, it's out of our comfort zone. Yes, maybe we've never experienced the sea if we were born on the land like the fish, but the moment you go in, you will realize, even though, yes, the sea is treacherous, the sea is, it's open, anything could happen, it's still where we become our full selves, where we really blossom, right? And you'll be surprised, right? Once you make that step into the relationship, that scary step, right? You will realize, yeah, it's hard, yeah, it's challenging, but I can breathe. I can finally fly. I can finally, swim. So that's the idea. He's saying, let us not be afraid of love, because love is our natural habitat. Love will set us free. Love will give us wings, right? We don't need to be afraid. Yes, it's good, it's challenging. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it's dangerous. Of course, the ocean and the air is dangerous, right? But it's also the only place where we'll be fully free, fully ourselves, fully able to breathe, right? Excellent. Good. Was there another comment that needed to be spoken about this?
Oh, no, I just forgot to put my hand.
Okay, very good. All right, good. Let's continue. Now, this one is also an interesting passage. We keep collecting rocks and broken bits of pottery like children, pretending they're merchants. We should split the sack of this culture and stick our heads out. Okay, so he's talking here about kids. I don't know if you had this when you were younger, where you have some little things that you can trade with other kids. So for example, you would trade, like, I don't know, what did you guys trade? Anybody have any ideas? When you were kids, like you traded
Snacks sometime.
It's like baseball cards.
baseball cards, candy, very good. Anything else in the chat?
We got sticker books and we like traded stickers when I was younger.
Stickers, yes, excellent. Snacks. Okay, so you know what this is. All right. So he's saying often when we love, we're like those kids. And he's not saying it's a good thing, right? We're like children pretending they're merchants, right? And so he's saying this is not the path. So what does it mean that we're like these children? How do we love like these children are playing, pretending they're merchants? What does he mean by that?
Maybe he's trying to say, like, love isn't like a barter system. Like, don't try to like give and take and like make it equal, and like that's not how it works.
Very good, right? Too often we come into love with a business mentality. I give you this, I expect this. Why am I not getting this? Or I'm doing 50% here, you should be giving me 50%, right? We don't understand that love is not a business transaction, right? We saw when we did the Song of Songs, right, the concept of chesed, right, which is this kind of love, this undeserved love, right? Very often you will find yourself in a place where you need to love more, right? Or you need to be loved more, right? It's not, but if we're sitting there, I'm going to just give you this little piece and wait till you give me that piece, and I'm not giving you more until you give me more, right? We are like children pretending to be merchants, right? Morissette, would you like to add?
Yes, I actually thought about it when they say it, and you make me laugh because that's like most relationship. And it doesn't have to be human relationship. I mean, even the relationship you have with your dog or the relationship you have with God. Like you're always expecting the other side to make an amend. Like you always stand on your side. If I give this, I'm expecting. And that's exactly why I thought when he brought children into it, because I thought he wanted us to see like children love differently from us. Also, even when they play in pretend, they do play pretend, but when it comes to relationship, they just give it all. They want you, they want you. They don't want you, they don't want you. So technically it's just, I want to be your friend and they are friend with you. It's unconditional. They love you. But when they don't want to as well, they don't want. But us, we just play pretend. We like, I'm giving you as much as you give me. And I will not give you more until you give me more.
Exactly. And that context, right, is this is not, love is doesn't have that structure. Too often we forget, right? We live our relationships like business transactions and not like love transactions, right? Or not transactions at all. Ziegel, excellent. Go ahead, Ziegel.
Okay, so I wanted to compare it again to the Song of Songs, because I think when you spoke about, you said something about like you're supposed to have the humility to change for the other and not feel forced to do it in order to keep the relationship alive. So I feel like if you sort of force the other to give you that, like what you want, then it's not like the true relationship. Like that person should want to fulfill your needs and to help you with anything that they can, but if it's forced, then it's not real.
Right? When we try to put expectations on people, right? Like when we try to control, this is the business mentality again. By the way, when you lose this business mentality, you stop suffering. It's magical. Any of you suffering in a relationship, look deep, you'll see you have a business mentality. Yeah, I'm not getting this and that's why I'm suffering. The moment you stop thinking that it's a business transaction, you can relax into the relationship. You don't have to suffer because you don't have any more expectations. You can just live, right? So this is one very nice way to reduce suffering in the relationship. Lo and Tessia Miller, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just thinking maybe I was like viewing it in a different way. Maybe people usually look at, like, we mentioned this actually earlier in the lecture, like people look at their partner and they're like, oh, that person's better, and they like kind of do this whole trading situation where they're like, oh, I think she's better, so I'll go like date her. Oh, I think he's better, I'll go date him, like, you know.
Yeah, very good. And we're still looking for products, right? We're window shopping and thinking, oh, this one's better than this one, right? We don't realize that everyone is actually an ocean. We forget, obviously. Excellent. Tessia Miller, would you like to conclude?
I took this section in a different view. I thought that it meant as if we pick up relationships of people as if they're like rocks or broken pieces, and that like children, we collect them and that we value them more than what they really are, because even though they're not complete, like in comparison to what Plato, I forgot the name of the person that said it, but how we should look for someone who is like us, someone who is whole, or whenever we get there. So I thought this passage meant that, you know, we are entering these relationships with people that we seem to be more valuable than they are, but they're not. They're just little pieces that we're collecting.
Okay, very good. Yes, and some of us collect relationships, right? We have a portfolio. Very good. And in that sense, we're again like those children. So then he continues, right? He's really not sympathetic to children. Look around, he says, leave your childhood. What does it, why do you have, and by the way, he can, before that, he says, we should split the sack of this culture, stick our heads out, look around, leave your childhood. Now, what is this sack that he's talking about that we have to leave, that we have to come out of? It's a very simple answer. Anybody know?
I think he's just saying in old words, like grow up, just like stop fooling around and
okay,
just
good.
Like, be real.
What does the sack actually represent? What does it mean actually in the text?
Maybe a womb, like like your mother.
Very good, right? He's basically saying, come out of the womb. If you want to truly experience love, you have to learn to come out of the womb. You can't stay in your comfort zone, right? You can't stay where you were. You have to be born and pushed out. And sometimes it's traumatic and painful. Any relationship will at times feel like you're being pushed out beyond where you want to be, right? And he's saying this is positive. This is birth. We're connecting now to Diotima, right? She also talked about a relationship like a birthing process, right? Which is not easy. So same thing, right? We want to be capable of leaving behind our childhood, our comfort zone, our cozy, self-centered universes, right? And move into something broader and brighter, right? Very good. Okay.
I actually had a interpretation of this section as well. When I read how he spoke about rocks and broken bits of pottery, like what first came to mind for me was like digging archaeological remains and like so I thought of like how people, even when they're in a new relationship, like dig through their past and keep thinking about their past. And when he said we should split the sack, I thought like he meant like just disregard everything that you've experienced in the past and like focus on the present.
Yes.
And like what?
Right, leave behind your baggage. Come out of your baggage.
Yeah.
Start something new, right? You don't have to bring everything into every relationship. There's a moment you want to just drop it and move forward, right? Absolutely. Very good. Okay, excellent. Let's go to our last text, which is No Expectations, which is, I still can't find it. Ah, here it is, page 76. Okay, I'm going to start with the second section, which says, be foolishly in love because love is all there is. Okay, so this is great thing you can say to your mom, like when you're going out on a date, all dressed up in a way she disapproves of, and going out with this guy who's insane, right? And then your mom is like, why can't you be more reasonable? And you can quote Rumi and be like, no, Rumi says, be foolishly in love, right? Because love is all there is. So what does he mean by this? What does he mean that we have to be foolish and not wise? What does he mean by that?
I guess like not over calculated, not overthinking anything, and just go for it.
Very good, right? Because what does it mean when you start to calculate? Who are you thinking about when you start to calculate?
Yourself.
Exactly. When you're calculating, you're like, maybe I shouldn't do it because maybe I won't be happy, or they don't have this and we're not compatible. And now you're coming back to yourself. Instead of entering the relationship, you're recoiling on yourself. Anytime you begin to calculate and try to be smart about it, you are moving back into yourself. And what Rumi is saying, no, come up, right? Be foolishly in love. Don't calculate, right? Don't try to, I think what somebody said that very nicely in the chat, the control issue, right? Tamam, right? Don't try to control it. Just go for it. And this is this is foolishness in the eyes of some, but actually it's wisdom in the eyes of love, right? Okay, there's a couple more hands I'm seeing. Tessia Mila Hakimian, Tamam, go ahead in that order. Tessia Mila?
I didn't take my hand down from last time, sorry.
Tamam?
Yeah, same for me. Sorry.
Hey, no one's left.
My only question would be, how do you balance the idea of not over calculating, but then if you go too fast in a relationship and then you're in it for, let's say, like a little bit of time, and then you run into all these issues that you totally ignored in the beginning, and now you're like in a disaster of a relationship because you just ignored everything and went for it.
So you're talking like a Platonist, right? We have to be careful, right? Rumi is saying no relationship is a waste of time, right? In other words, what you describe as chaos for him is love. So he will say, even if you end up in this chaos, right? Or this mess, like you say, this is still a valuable experience. This is still being human. This is still, so Rumi is more chaotic than Plato, right? Plato does say you have to be, right? Even Solomon, right, says, okay, be discretion and sensuality, right? You need to give and hold back, be wise, right? So Plato also, be careful, make sure they are compatible with you and so forth. Rumi is the only one who unabashedly says it's okay to rush into things, to create a mess, right? Because for him, love is supposed to be a mess. It's supposed to make you go crazy. Otherwise, you're still in your comfort zone, right? So Rumi is one of the people, and it is possible to live like that, right? Because if you continue in the mess with the same attitude of Rumi, relinquishing control, not keeping expectations, choosing kindness and goodness and gladness, you'll make it, right? So there's two kinds of wisdom that we're going to learn in the class that kind of weave each other, right? The first kind of wisdom is the wisdom of be careful, choose well, follow the rules, right? The other kind of wisdom is even if you find yourself in the mess, right? Let go, don't hold back, surrender. But that wisdom, if you systematically apply it, you can pull through also on the other side. So you can come out of the chaos if you continue to apply Rumi, relinquishing control, choosing gladness and kindness. You can come out of that mess, right? Does that make sense? Who was I speaking to? Tamam. Yes, Tamam. Does this help? These are two paths, right? And you have to decide, right, what fits you. Some people, they have to throw themselves, right? And so, but if you consistently follow Rumi, you'll pull through. But if you throw yourself and then all of a sudden you're recoiling and you're like, I'm not happy, and I deserve this and I want this, then it's not going to work, right? So if you're going to take the path of Rumi, you got to go all the way. So when chaos hits, you got to be like gladness, kindness, relinquishing control, follow the shepherd, right? You can't recoil and start having expectations and wanting this and that, and I want reciprocity, right? That's the so if you do choose Rumi and you end up in chaos, you can pull through if you continue to follow Rumi, right? Let's see. And these are two paths: the path of chaos and the path of order. Both, if you apply them fully, can lead you to true love, right? Okay, where was I? Let's see, a couple more hands. I see Morissette and Hakimian. Go ahead, Morissette, and then Hakimian.
I feel like he actually answered everything in the third passage, I think, not fourth, when he says, if someone asks, but what is love? Answer, dissolving the will. That's exactly what he means. Like, if you're going to be in love, but you still have yourself as a priority, like, this is what I want, this is my will. So technically, you're not in love. You are in a relationship with yourself, with someone on the side. So I know that he's talking about God and the whole thing, but this can also be applied to normal relationship, because most people in a relationship, we always want to see good for us. We see the good for other people when it's in us. Like, if you do me good, I will do you good. So you do me good so I can make sure I need to be happy so I can make you happy. While most people don't understand, your happiness depends on you.
Very good.
So as long as you're happy, you can make other people happy, but you have to work for your own happiness first.
Exactly. Rumi is giving us a very hard teaching, right? It's easy to read, Rumi. It's very hard to do. Dissolving the will is like losing yourself, right? But Rumi is saying when you lose yourself, you find yourself. That's the beauty of what he's teaching. It's like the bird who jumps off the branch. The bird feels it's over if they've never flown, right? The fish who slides into the sea, for them it's the end. But you realize as you dissolve your will and you think, I'm gonna die if I can't protect myself, right? As you dissolve that will, you're gonna see that you're going to survive. Not only survive, you're going to thrive, right? But it's a very difficult lesson because we're so used to protecting ourselves. Like, I'll make sure number one is taken care of here, right? And so forth. So it's a very hard lesson, especially for a Western mindset, which is very individual, right? We don't, what do you mean dissolving the will? Like, what does this even mean, right? So very good. Hakimian, I think.
But isn't it what they teach us at one point? They always tell you to protect your heart. Yes. So everywhere else, it says protect your heart, protect your heart. So technically people grow up thinking that protecting your heart from love is something that you should absolutely do, because you don't want someone to destroy who you are. It's like not losing yourself in a relationship. But the best love is to lose yourself first so you can retrieve yourself with someone.
Very good. We're going to talk about this protecting your heart in the next page, right? When it talks about the mirror. And we're going to see what it really means. Because you're so right, Morissette, when you say we have been taught to protect our heart from love. But this is not what we should protect our heart from. Love is not the enemy. The other person is not the enemy. The relationship is not the enemy. So we have to reframe what we are to protect our hearts from. And we have been taught wrong, right? So we're going to talk about this. And you're right. We have to protect our heart, but it is not from love that we have to protect our hearts, right? Love, we find ourselves through the relationship. We don't, we lose ourselves only to be reborn as a fuller version of ourselves, right? Yes, Aguirre? Yes, exactly, right? So of course we're afraid of being hurt, but and dissolving the will is, we're afraid, right? So we're going to talk about this. We're getting there very quickly. Actually, I wonder if I shouldn't go straight to it and then go finish with the last. Let me go straight to it since we're already there, right? This notion of protecting the heart, and what are the limits of dissolving the will, right? How much should we dissolve the will? How much can we take in a relationship without the relationship destroying us, right? So I want to address this in the next page where it says, be clear like a mirror reflecting nothing. And I've pondered this quote a long, long time, and I want to talk about it in a certain perspective. It means a few other things, but I think it also means something that has to do with forgiveness. So we're going to talk about that, and this will help us understand how to protect our hearts, right? Now, so what we're going to do right now for about 10 minutes, I want to give you, this is such an important teaching. I always use this quote to teach that teaching, even though quote also means something else. I want to give you a quick workshop on forgiveness, because this is one of the most valuable skills you will ever need, especially when it comes to love, right? If you don't know how to forgive, it's forget it. It's not going to work for you, right? So I'm going to give you a quick workshop on forgiveness. Then we'll understand what it means, be clear like a mirror reflecting nothing. And then we'll finish with, what does it mean to guard our hearts, right? How much of the will should we dissolve? Okay, so quick workshop. Forgiveness, actually a Hebrew concept, right? This is the oldest version of it. And it comes, one of the most common used words, Hebrew words for forgiveness, is the word nasa. So I'm writing it down in the chat, right? Okay, so nasa means to forgive, but literally it means to carry. Okay, so this is strange. So so what does it mean, right? So basically in the Hebrew language, right, which is where forgiveness originates, the Hebrew worldview is the worldview that conceived forgiveness, right? So what does it mean when someone offends you that you carry it? What does it mean? Anybody know? Someone does something to you, right? They cheat on you, they yell at you, they steal from you, and you choose to carry it. What does that mean? Is that even healthy?
Holding a grudge.
So be careful, because this is the meaning of forgiveness. So forgiveness cannot mean holding a grudge, right?
Oh, that
Yep.
bit. Can you repeat it again?
Yes. So the word for forgiveness in Hebrew is nasa, which means to carry. So to forgive means to carry. So what does it mean to carry?
Probably carrying that experience with you. Let's say something happens in a relationship, you choose to forgive the person, but you don't forget what they did so that you can learn from it for like new experiences in the future.
So you're making carrying be more like not forgetting, right? I'm saying it means to forgive. So what does it mean? So it's not just that. It's not just you won't forget, right? It is, they don't even talk about forgetting. Actually, in the Hebrew context, once you forgive, you forget. So it's different. So what does it mean? Somebody does something to you and you choose to carry it. All right, let's see if you can get it. I have a few hands up. Let's see. There's Morissette, Hakimian, Lo, and Tamam in that order. Let's see if you can get it. Start with Morissette.
Oh! I just had my hand from.
Hakimian, you're next.
Yes, so did I.
All right, Lo.
Okay. I think that it kind of means in a way like not taking the responsibility for what like bothered you, but like if you like carry something with you, you can take it maybe like the blame, not all of the blame, part of the blame off the person, and like just be like, okay, like I understand that this happened, and like I'm gonna carry it now, and I'm like okay, like
You're
I
on the
don't know
right track. You're on the right track. That's the direction. You're on the right track. Who else was? Let's see. There was Tamam and Aguirre. Let's see if you can elaborate. She's on the right track, so stay on that track. Let's go with Tamam.
I think when someone does something to you, you could let it hold you down and stop you from moving. But by forgiving, instead of holding a grudge and letting it upset you, you instead of letting it hold you back and keep you from moving, you choose to carry it and just take it with you and keep going even though it's hard.
Yes, you're there. You're almost there. You're very, very hot. Let's see. There was Aguirre and then Tessie and Lila.
I guess it would be like learn to carry like what the other person may need to you, and learn to just live with it and just let it be, and don't let this stop you from do what you have to do.
Okay, good. Yes, you're there too. I think there's one more, which is Morissette again, Hakimian. You guys are back?
I was, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. I feel like this is maybe a little redundant, but not only to carry it with you, but to almost like turn it into something else that's not negative, not neutral, but positive, so that it doesn't weigh you down.
You're there. Let's see if Morissette can beat that. Go ahead, Morissette.
I don't know, like I don't know how can I translate that because it's in French. How can I it's like we have something in my culture when they say, like, when someone do something to you, by forgiving them, you can actually, it's like you can actually have compassion for them. It's like that forgiveness bring you to feeling of empathy.
Yes.
It's like you put yourself in their shoes. Exactly.
Okay, you guys are doing great. Yes,
that's something from my culture. It's like when someone do something to you, before you get mad, put yourself in their shoes and see if you can forgive yourself. So if you forgive yourself, you'll be able to forgive them and carry that compassion.
Good. You guys are very, you're pretty much there. Let me put it all together. So the main meaning, which a lot of you have already stumbled upon, right? To carry means you don't throw it back in their face, right? Someone does something to you, instead of reacting, and you can react in many ways, by the way, right? You can directly react and be violent, or you can react within and be resentful and bitter and toxic and cold, and I'm never gonna love again, and I'm never gonna trust this person again, right? This is also reaction, right? So instead of reacting, whether it's a aggressive reaction or internal reaction, you carry, right? In other words, you choose what you're doing. When you choose to not react and when you choose to carry, what you're really doing is saying, you did this to me, but it's not going to make me do that to you. In other words, I am not going to allow your poison to poison me. I'm not going to allow your negativity to enter me. I won't become negative myself. And that's how you guard your heart. Does that make sense? It's so powerful because it means basically that you are able to be in a relationship, and even though the relationship is difficult and you have chosen to love, you are still able to protect your heart. And the way you protect your heart is not by kicking the person out, right? Is by not allowing their negativity to poison you. Right? In other words, you choose, instead of throwing it back in their face, whether it's in your resentment or in the aggression, you choose, I'm going to carry it with dignity. I'm going to carry it with nobility. And I'm not going to allow whatever you did to make me like you, right? I'm not going to allow your negativity to make me toxic inside. I'm not going to allow what you did to make me cold, resentful, bitter. I'm not going to allow that. I'm going to carry it with dignity. Whatever you did, I won't throw it back, right? In your heart, or same thing, right? Whatever you're carrying inside is also a way of reacting. I mean, if you choose to be resentful, you're not carrying, you're reacting. Does everybody understand what I just said? Put your hand out if you see what I'm saying, right? So this is really what it means to be clear like a mirror, reflecting nothing, right? Rumi is saying, be clear. Whatever happens, you don't reflect it back, right? You remain pure. in that context, no matter what devil you have married, right? And some of you will marry devils, right? Sadly, whatever demon you have married or whatever crazy partner you're with, right? They don't need to make you, they don't need to touch that part of you, right? You can still choose to be in the relationship, not as a victim, but as someone who has chosen to carry whatever is going on instead of undergoing, right? This is a choice. This is coming out of a place of strength, not out of a place of codependence. It's not coming out of a place of weakness. It's coming out of a place of strength and dignity. I choose to love you, and I choose to carry this with you. I choose to carry your trauma and whatever is making you like this. I'm carrying this burden with you, right? You're not carrying it alone anymore, but I'm not allowing this to, I'm carrying it, I'm not pushing it back in your face, right? When you do this, by the way, you save 3 people. Who are these 3 beings that you save when you choose to carry? Anybody know? First one's obvious.
Yourself.
Okay, number 1, you save yourself because you clear yourself, you keep yourself from being made toxic, right? Who's the second person?
The person you're in a relationship.
The other person.
Right? Because in a way, you have accepted to carry that burden with them. And in a way, you are releasing them. Through your patient endurance, you are in a way releasing them little by little of that burden, right? Now, by the way, when you carry, doesn't mean you accept everything that is going on. You can speak up, you can say your mind, right? You can stand up for yourself, but you stand up for yourself while still remaining in connection. And you understand that the process is long. It can be a long process to go through this purification, right, of the relationship through this carrying of what the other is dealing you with, right? So you also help the other because you're basically giving them a clean slate. You're saying, look, you did this, but let's try again. Let's do better. Here's a clean slate. Let's try again, right? Let's do this one more time. I'm not holding this against you. You have another chance and another one, right? So you're helping, and finally you're helping the world, right? Because in a way you're not adding to the already high toxicity of the world with your own toxins, right? So 3, right? 3 on a 3 levels, right? You are cleansing the world. You're cleansing yourself. You're cleansing the other. You're cleansing the world. It's a very powerful practice, right? Which doesn't exclude, by the way, that you stand up for yourself and keep some boundaries and so forth. But you know that the person is not going to change overnight. And in the meantime, you have to learn to take what you're dealt with dignity and nobility in a way that doesn't make you toxic. So, by the way, Rumi is never going to tell us what to do, right? Some relationships become too toxic for the self to endure, right? And some of us have to leave to survive, right? To recover. Sometimes the relationship is even dangerous, right? What Rumi is saying is that even when you separate, you can practice this, right? In your heart, because when you separate doesn't mean the person's still not, digging holes in your heart, right? So this is a practice that you can do by staying or by leaving. You can also keep a breakup is the best place to do this practice, right? When you start to feel resentful and bitter and have grudges and now you're never going to love again and you're going to close your heart forever, right? Same thing, right? Whether you're in the relationship or have chosen to leave, this is a practice that will make sure that whatever happened doesn't tarnish your heart and that you can love again, right? I see 4 hands. Are they real? Aguirre, Morissette, Hakimian, Zigal. Let's start with Aguirre.
I was about to say, like, isn't it really toxic to stay with the person even though, like, I mean, I can forget once or maybe twice, but then it comes a 3rd time and then it doesn't become like really toxic that every time he will, for example, betray you or do something wrong against you, and then it doesn't become really like very toxic to stay with this person and still trying with this person even though this person have been doing a lot of stuff to you. And it comes like a lot of, like, it wasn't really once or twice, it was several times.
Yeah.
So
So
it's really real.
remember that forgiveness is about not becoming toxic, right? This is the only way, and you don't even have to tell them, right? This is an inner thing that you're doing for yourself, right? This is about remaining dignified in the face of abuse. That's what it is, right? Now, it doesn't mean you tolerate it, right? To choose to not react violently or with toxicity is different from standing your ground and asking for respect. You see the difference? Right? So you can forgive and still stand your ground and be like, this is unacceptable. I don't accept this. I'm walking out, right? We're done. You can do all those things, but in your heart, the forgiveness keeps your heart pure from becoming resentful. It keeps your actions pure from becoming aggressive. Do you see what I'm saying, Aguirre? So it's not about not putting boundaries, right? Forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is to keep you from being poisoned by the other. Because anytime you react to what they did, suppose the person cheated on you and now you're like a wild person and you're about to kill them. You've become tainted. You've become like them, right? Or suppose they're cheating on you and you're like, well, now I'm going to cheat on you. Watch me, right? I'm going to film this. So again, now you've allowed the negativity to make you negative. So forgiveness is first of all about you keeping yourself pure, actively disciplining yourself. I'm not going to allow what that person did to me to close my heart, to make me into a bitter person, to make me into a violent person. And once you've done this, doesn't mean you don't set boundaries and be like, I'm not taking it anymore. This is unacceptable. This needs to change. Does that make sense, Aguirre? Are you there, Aguirre?
Yeah, it does, because I thought that maybe you will have to, like, I know that we have to forgive the other person, but I thought that maybe we'll have to stay with this person and just like still trying it.
Yeah, you don't have, forgiveness is an internal thing, no matter where you are, right? So obviously you can decide to stay and then it's a little harder, but it's still very important to stay pure, or you can decide to leave. Forgiveness does not exclude setting boundaries and standing up for yourself, right? But you set boundaries in a civilized way. You don't allow the person to get to you. That's what forgiveness is. You don't allow them to get to you, right? Okay, there was a couple more, which was Morissette, go ahead.
Yeah, I was sorry, I was chasing my niece. I feel like it's not like she was asking, it's not about not standing for yourself. You can still stand for yourself, but still forgive. By putting boundaries and say this is unacceptable, it allows you to make choices for yourself. You can decide to stay. If it's a relationship, you can decide to stay. You can decide to leave as well. But then it allows you to be free for your next relationship if you're leaving as well. Because if you do leave, you're gonna carry whatever you had in your heart to the next person. Like you would see in some type of relationship, some people are so controlling. It's because they had a problem from a previous relationship, and then they carry the same anger to that relationship. And then anything you do for that person, it's never okay. They always suspicious. They always thinking something is going on, even nothing is going on. Like any word you say can be interpreted like in another way. It's because they carry what they had from the previous relationship to this relationship. And it's a very vicious cycle because you can keep doing it every time. And exactly, you have insecurity. That's exactly.
Very good, very good. Lopez and then Ziegel. Lopez, would you like to add? You've been writing a lot. Lopez, a chance to speak? Okay, Ziegel, while Lopez is thinking. Ziegel, would you like to conclude?
Yeah, I was just wondering, you said that it's cleansing the world also because you're not like tainting it with another negative being. Is that why? Is that the meaning of it?
Well, someone hits you and you hit them back. Now you've doubled, you've doubled the violence, right? That's what I'm saying, right? So someone cheats on you, now you cheat on them. You've doubled it. Now there's more cheaters, right? That's what I mean, right? Lopez struggling with the audio. Okay, that's okay. It's all right, Lopez. Thank you for participating in the chat. Excellent. Okay, so that's the idea, right? So when Rumi is talking about dissolving the will, right? I mean, it does still sound crazy, right? But he's really saying, you know, you dissolve the will in the sense that you give the other the first, you're not thinking of yourself, right? But what we need to understand is that, just a sec, I'm just reading Bello. I got interrupted. Sorry, let me finish. Right, so dissolving the will does sound like crazy, but what Rumi means by that is simply that you are not entering the relationship with yourself as the number one. You're thinking of the other. And forgiveness is primordially a gift you're giving the other, right? You can forgive for the sake of the other. So that would be one of the interpretations, right? Of be clear like a mirror, reflecting nothing. Good. All right, let's do a couple more in that poem. I like this one right before the mirror. This love path has no expectations. What does it mean that you have no expectations in a relationship? Shouldn't you have expectations?
Oh, that is a big one.
I think this entire poem, like this specific one, is all about just go out and just try it. And, you know, like, you shouldn't even know what to expect. You shouldn't even think about what you're expecting. You just go and try it out and just see what comes out of it.
Yeah, the Rumi is really about enter. Just enter, live through it, and then navigate it, right? With the tools he's giving us, the tools of forgiveness, the tools of relinquishing control, the tools of cultivating appreciation. So, and this is, as Westerners, we're incapable of this, right? But he's saying the only way you really, I think Morissette was saying, right, it's life. Right? We are meant to live life and stop trying to always control and micromanage everything, right? That's really what he's saying over and over again to us. Just enter it. And once you're in it, it's going to be chaos anyways. No matter who you marry, it's going to be chaos at one point, right? At that moment, continue relinquishing control. Like, you know, have you anybody been at the beach recently? Let me see your hands. Beach people, anybody? 2 people. Okay, you gotta make an effort. Okay, so summer. Okay. Now, when you know how it is when you see a big wave coming towards you, right? There's 2 ways of dealing with a wave. You can either stand there and face it. What will happen to you if you do that? Is it gonna go well with you?
You'll fall.
Blow you away.
It'll destroy you. But if you start to just like duck and kind of go with the wave, it's going to be absolutely harmless. That's what Rumi is saying. Learn to just go with the wave. And you will see that life becomes much less painful and much more enjoyable, right? We ought to learn to go with the waves of our relationships instead of constantly having expectations, calculating a strong will, wanting to lead. That's why we suffer so much, right? Because we're standing there in front of the wave. Excellent. You're really getting it. I see a couple more hands, which I don't know if they want to speak. Morissette and Ziegel?
Yeah, I feel like the next word he said dismount, travel light. It's like expectation are usually what destroy most relationship. Like I can say by hand, like I know it. So because we all try to put our expectations so high, and usually the other person doesn't even know your expectation or doesn't even know how to respond to them. But you enter that relationship, whether it's a friendship. It's like, for example, you have your best friend, you expect that person to call you every day. But some people are just not callers. They're just texters. Or even though, like I have my best friend, I always say that my best friend and I, we will not talk sometime for 3 months. And then when we talk, it's like it was yesterday because we don't expect each other to keep tab, you know, and then that's how our relationship works. But most relationship people enter a relationship with a lot of expectation. Oh, he has to be a lover. He has to be someone that write poems. He has to give me flowers. He has to do this. And all those expectations, they are so hard to keep up with. And they are not light. Like you said, travel light. when you expect less, you actually gain more because you don't have expectation. And anything that comes, it comes as a blessing. Like you said previously, it's like it opens you to be so blessed. Like anything that person does, you're like, oh my God, it's so nice, because you weren't expecting it.
Excellent. Very good. Excellent. I like that interpretation a lot. I think, good. We should conclude on that. This is very nice. Unless there's one more. Tamam, was that you?
I was just going to say that like every expectation and all of life's disappointments could be traced back to like the fact that you thought it was going to be one way and then it wasn't what you thought it was going to be, which just leads to disappointment. And like you thought it was going to be this way and then it wasn't.
Excellent. Very good. Okay, you guys are really getting roomy. That's great. That's great. Okay, one more set. Are you still talking, or is it from
my favorite part of the poem? You said you weren't gonna speak about it. That's the last.
Go ahead.
It says, lovers have some secret that they keep. I love this part because it makes you, like, people get married or they are in a committed relationship, they always expect you to know everything about each other. It's like you forget that you are a person, that person is another person, and they're allowed to have secrets. It's like people always expect as soon as you get into a relationship, you should be like, whew, here's everything. Yeah. But then I love that part. I really do, because I'm a very secretive person. And then when people be like, oh, why you didn't say that? It's because I feel like it's my secret. It's mine. Like, why should I share that? It's mine. Like, not because we love each other. I mean, you have to know everything about that person. I love that part. Like, I really do.
Actually, if you love that part, you will love the Irigaray when we study her. And she talks about actually creating a space between the lovers, right? And this, we'll come back to this idea when we do her in the end of class. Okay, very good. All right, let's call it a day for Rumi. Let's talk about your tests a little bit. I'm gonna stop the recording.